troubling story today from a BBC investigation. Let me just explain. More than 20 women say they were sexually assaulted by the former Harrods owner, Mohamed Al-Fayed. 5 have said they were raped by him. The investigation gathered evidence that during his ownership of Harrods, not only did Harrods fail to intervene, they helped cover up the abuse allegations. Harrods have reiterated their apology to the former staff, and they said they got a process for women who've said they were attacked by Fayed, and it should be pretty quick to at least compensate them and hear what they've got to say. The BBC documentary heard from former employees, including a woman who left on the grounds of sexual harassment. She received a payout from Harrods under the condition that she shredded all the evidence she gathered. Let's have a look.
Someone from HR was present for the shredding of all of the evidence I had. Harrods, I think they knew the significance of having this kind of information available. I think they just wanted to get rid of it as quick as possible and get rid of me as quick as possible. I was advised it would be in my best interest not to talk, that I was to keep it quiet. All these years not being able to talk about something that's so unfair, like so unfair to make somebody go through something like that and then expect them not to talk about it. It's cruel.
Now, Vanessa, your thoughts?
Well, it's an amazingly affecting documentary, and all of these women were working for Mohamed Al-Fayed at the time at Harrods, and you know, he would not take no for an answer. He would put them in places where they couldn't escape. He would take locks, keys out of doors, this kind of thing. And this doesn't compare in any way, but I just remembered immediately, as soon as I heard there was this documentary, that I had been invited to a bar mitzvah in 2002, and for some reason my partner didn't go with me. I don't know why. And Mohamed Al-Fayed was there. And he made a beeline for me, and he came on unbelievably hot and heavy. And I looked into this. He was 73, I was 40. I had a partner. I was not interested in him in any way whatsoever, not at all. And he said to me that he had an apartment upstairs, and I think I was at Claridge's at the time. And he said, come up, come up. I want to show you the view. I want to show you the terrace. I want to show you the thing. And we were in the middle of a bar mitzvah, and I said, no, thank you. I mean, absolutely not, but thank you very much, and no, thank you. I was trying to be polite. But I just remember the kind of menacing nature of it, and the very, very
danger. Yes, your telling of it, I can
very
see.
Emphatic. I hadn't, and the fact that I had not flirted, I had not made myself, I hadn't been sort of coquettish to him, I didn't fancy him, I wasn't interested in, I didn't want to see his apartment. And what's more, I was at a bar mitzvah. You don't just leave a bar mitzvah and go up to look at someone's apartment in the middle of it. The whole thing was just so irregular. That's why I remember it all these years later. But what I mostly remember was the very insistent tone of it and the repetitive tone of it, and the fact that it was extremely difficult to sort of extricate myself from it. And when I heard about all these women, obviously that did not happen to me at all, but I did think, gosh, if you were in a subordinate position, you were young, you worked for him,
it would go up.
Yeah. It would be very, very difficult.
But also, I think at that time, 20 years ago, 2002, 5 years earlier, he lost his son.
That's right.
And there was a lot of sympathy for him.
Absolutely.
Because obviously he was Diana's boyfriend, and car crash and so on.
Yep.
And there was a bit of protection around him after that period, I think.
Completely.
For a while.
And also, as he was an older man, you didn't want to be too, you didn't want to go, no, God, no, I don't want to go up anywhere near you, don't be ridiculous. You wanted to be sort of at least polite, and you're quite right, he'd lost his son and was in mourning. You're absolutely right. The whole context of it was a particularly unusual
I interviewed
thing.
him once, and he came to Radio 2, the studio, and at the end of the interview, he came up to me and he opened his palm of his hand, and he had a pill in it. And he said, that for you is Viagra. You look like a man who needs it.
Wow. Were you like,
is this like a gag?
not for me.
Or I haven't seen a Viagra, but is it blue or what? This wasn't blue. I don't know. And I wasn't sure how to maybe it was a Tic Tac, but he just told me it was Viagra, and I looked like I needed it. And I thought, if that's a joke you do with everyone you meet, I've never met him before. It's a really weird joke.
I do think it brings into question how things were. And I'd be really interested to hear from Reem with this, because Vanessa and I, you and I, are around the same kind of age. There was a time, all right, this is an extreme thing, but in telly and in business, powerful men could kind of put you into those positions where you felt really vulnerable. And you had to have some strength to pull your way out of that.
Absolutely.
I would be interested, because that for us, it was everywhere.
So Reem, what about you?
You're 22. Is it still like that?
So I've got to say, I don't know, I can't compare it to what it once was. I mean, you're talking about a particular situation in 2002. I was born in 2002, so my perspective on everything has obviously shifted. I do think things have gotten a lot better when I speak to women that have experienced, especially the media landscape, but also I work in Westminster, so the sort of political landscape.
It's power.
It's power. I think it's the problem is men who are in positions of power who can hold something against you, so they can take away an opportunity, they can, or the opposite, they can actually give you an opportunity. Those particular situations, men will often use those positions in order to try and
still
lure
happening?
young women. Yes, it does
Wow.
still happen,
Yeah.
but definitely not to the same extent I think that it used to.